Welcome to Smash Bra. Here we discuss our favorite pulp culture from retro video games, TV shows, movies, comics, wrestling, and all types of other stuff while getting smashed on a couple
or several brews,
which we'll review at the end of the episode. This is Gamer Blerd
and Sam,
and let's get smashed. Welcome back, everybody. Smash Bra is back. Hope everyone's 2022 is going great. How are you doing, Sam?
Patter, patter, patter. Oh, sorry. No, that's that was written. I guess I'm supposed to say it. I am doing just fine. Not good.
I
not
think
bad.
I enjoyed that.
Just fine. Patter, patter.
This is great. So Sam and I are super excited to kick this year off with one of our favorite topics. So Sam and I used to work in cubicles next to each other, and we were constantly nerding out, and sometimes to our detriment because we used to be asked to pipe down, once or twice. Some people just don't fully appreciate nerding, but whatever. But very often when we were talking, it was about the MCU. The MCU is absolutely terrific. They have such a tight universe, and it's all so connected, even where maybe it's not supposed to be, they're still able to sew it all together to get a lot of great continuity. And I am pretty much loving everything that they put out for like the last decade, which is pretty insane for one genre of movies. So now today specifically, we will be going over the MCU TV shows. Although there are many Marvel TV shows that we enjoy, we won't necessarily be touching the Netflix series, shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or anything like that. This will be all about the MCU universe shows, although I guess technically that may change, which we'll touch upon a little bit later. But first, what are we sipping on today?
No, this is so I don't do the review. I got it. Tropical Beer Hug by Goose Island. It's an Imperial IPA, 9.9% alcohol volume. You? Oh, do it. Sorry. It's a beach vacation for your taste buds.
All right. And I went with Galactica from Clown Shoes. It actually has like a woman flying through space. So I figured it fit the theme pretty well. So Galactica is a West Coast style IPA. And the description is, we humbly bow before our hoppy heroine, Galactica, defender of the intergalactic downtrodden, conqueror of bad beers and long-winded evildoers. She soars with ease from one star system to the next, wielding her hop staff in a righteous quest for justice.
Wait, time out. Why do you get that one and I have a bear with sunglasses on?
You should have picked yours. No,
dude, you're the one who picked it.
Hey, Tropical Beer Hug's it's a pretty badass beer. It's a beer with glasses on, right? I like them.
Fair enough.
Right. So let's get
I like how you choose the one that's like completely part of it.
But it's pretty cool. I like it.
You're an ass.
All right. So first up, we're going to go with WandaVision. So WandaVision was the first MCU TV show. Was one of the first shows where we were kind of like, how is this all going to play out? But I think they really did a good job with it. So Sam, what did you think about WandaVision?
I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was about 6 episodes, correct?
I believe so. 6 or 8.
Yeah, I think this one was actually either or. But what I liked about it was that it was concise. It told the story, concisely. It didn't drown on too much. The first 2 episodes were particularly good because they kept only hinting to what may be happening, and then we started to fully go into what Wanda was actually doing, it was like first time in a long time where a weekly show allowed fans to then start nerding out, like making guesses. Who's Agatha? Who's she? Like, what's happening? Like, oh, could you believe that he choked on like steak? Like, does that mean that it was from comic book 4? It's just, it was, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think it was actually interesting to watch Wanda trying to deal with everything that happened after Endgame. Because technically Infinity War, she watches Vision die. Then she goes away and shows up fucks up Thanos for a little bit, and then like what happens after that? We always forget that even though life has happened and there's all these things, it was still only for some of them. And I think that's what they're doing a great job with in this phase, is for the ones who weren't around, like what it's like now, like showing back up. I think that was like, so I enjoy that, because then she has to deal with the idea that Vision's gone. So
no, you actually bring up a really good point. And now that we've seen a lot of the shows, you know, where WandaVision, when it first came out, it was the first one of its kind. But I think they're doing a really good job of showing what it's like after the snap, because it's like, all right, these people were gone for 5 years. Like, what do they do? Because in Endgame, you know, they make the snap, everyone comes back, and then it's like, all right, so like, what does that actually mean for the world? You know, and I know there's a lot of like memes that came out and stuff, and it's like, you know, somebody gets snapped back and now their wife is like hanging out with some other dudes. Like, what the hell are they supposed to do? But like, no, that's a legitimate question. Like, you need to kind of flesh that out. And I think that's kind of cool that they're touching upon a lot of
they tried to do that, not try to do that, but like with No Way Home with Spider-Man, they blipped him back in, and they almost made like a funny joke about it. Like, oh, look, he's now actually, he's still in our grave, but he's like I forget like the reason behind it, but he was like, he's actually now more, oh, he was 5 years younger, and now he's in the grade with everybody, even like, so it was like kind of like making it fun, but like now we're watching and exploring how it can have a detrimental, like, and we'll go more into it, but like WandaVision has to come back, and even though it's been 5 years and everything, like everyone's dealt with the loss of Vision because he was hanging around, like everyone's seen it or like dealt with it. Then like, as you progress through the episodes, you realize the government has taken him, trying to figure out what's going on. Like, how did he work? Why did he work? And then she, you know, she's just a love-stricken like witch, you know, like who like 3 days ago in her mind lost her like the love of her life.
And that's, you know, that's a lot to deal with, you know. But you brought something up a little bit earlier, like, you know, when this first came out, like all the different theories that came out. I know my mind was going crazy. Like, you know, what was she gonna do? I think Mephisto was thrown around by everybody. I thought he was pulling strings. Yeah, I liked it. I believed it until Agatha came around, but then it was like, oh, like Agatha. So I know a good portion about a lot of stuff in comics, but MCU just proves like how much I don't know. So like when Agatha Harkness came out, I was like, who the fuck is this bitch? And I was like, oh, she's like dope. And it was actually a really cool twist in the story, and like kind of glad she's getting her own side spinoff. So that should be cool.
Which I'm curious about what that's going to be like, because technically she's still trapped in that world she's created,
and she's supposed to be her like mentor. So I don't know how that's going to turn around.
If you're actually still think about it, like what happened is that her power became and manifested so hard that, and then because of the challenges she had to face and all the stages and like everything that she went through, well, in that town, it did manifest her new powers. So technically, Agatha was the reason why Scarlet Witch became so like could manifest all her new powers. Though, as Honest Trailer will say, like even though how good the show did, like how good the show was, it did end in a CGI fight, which is usually how it does.
It's always got to be whoever the main characters is. It has to be a character that has the same powers. Yeah, that is probably one thing about MCU that kind of annoys me, but it makes sense that they kind of have to do it. So.
Well, we always talk about this. We have talked about that. The reason why behind that is that in all the origin stories or anything like that, when you fight someone who has a similar power with you, or at least my theory is, or like you probably read it somewhere, is essentially what you're doing is that you're showing the two different level or two sides of the coin of what happens when you have those powers. Like in Iron Man decided that he was going to go kill the Middle East, and then the other one was like, could I get rich off it? So like, did you see that anything like that? Like where they're talking about like Iron Man is actually like a symbol of colonialism. Like it's like how it's like his first thing of order was to go and kill rebel fighters. But anyways, but that's the idea. Is like then he faces himself. Black Panther faces one that like wants to take his power, like rather like than utilizing, and which in Black Panther,
Killmonger was kind of right though.
No, Killmonger was right, but the way he wanted to go about it was wrong. So essentially, that one was good because anytime a hero can or like a villain can change the mind or like the ideas or anytime a villain actually comes off and you go, hey, he's got a good point. That's a good villain. But then it changed the minds of Wakanda and Black Panther to then start opening themselves to the world. Which, by the way, I watched Winter Soldier the other day. I thought they were already opening up the world, and then they redid it.
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Well, they were like around. All right.
Probably my favorite part of WandaVision was how each episode had a different television style to it.
Yes.
Like the first episode was kind of the old school 50s black and white television.
I Love Lucy.
The I Love Lucy, Bewitched. And then it went to like my absolute favorite was the Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
Where it was like the first person breaking the fourth wall, like looking into the camera style. And then my other favorite episode was the Halloween episode where they brought back the old style costumes, and which, speaking of which,
yes.
So I was so excited when they brought Quicksilver back, because again, with the fan theorizing, I was like, oh, this connects everything. Mm-hmm. Quicksilver is back. Like
Disney bought Fox. Quicksilver now.
Oh my god, mutants are here. And then they were like, it is just some Joe Schmo actor that Agatha tricked into doing this, and I was so let down. I really hope they turn that around, because that was such a letdown.
I mean, they could. I mean, but like that will. I mean, to be honest, for everything that Marvel does really great, is that sometimes for those little teeny tiny moments, they'll ruin a character.
Yeah.
So like the idea that who's the actor's name?
Which one?
Quicksilver. Something Peters. Eric Peters.
Keep going with your thought.
All right. So, anyways, what they'll do is they'll take such a good character, and then
Ethan Peters.
Oh yes, but they'll take such a good character or a good villain, and then they'll completely just like one-off it. Like like Iron Man 3, everyone knows like what happened there. Like that. Like they killed who's a man like
Evan Peters.
Evan. They killed. They clearly they try to like retcon it with Shang-Chi, but like they took what is it, Mandarin?
The Mandarin, yeah.
They took the Mandarin and it turned it into a joke. Like, and then here is like, this was just for that like wink and nod to like control all of us. Like, but they're willing to do that. They're willing to take great characters and either just kill them off or like one-off them, which kind of sucks. But
and then build them back up later on. So
I mean,
that is a good chance they might be able to do that.
Well, that's the thing. Welcome to Phase 4.
Yeah, because I actually liked. And I think I still have him up. So Aaron Taylor Johnson's version of Quicksilver when he first came in, he was kick-ass as well. Like I really liked his version. I thought he was kind of cool.
Oh, Petro.
But I understand why they kind of killed him off, because technically they didn't own him, but they wanted to put him into the movie. And then Evan Peters' version of Quicksilver was awesome, and the X-Men movies, like,
so good that Sonic stole it.
Yeah, as much as I liked those movies, he pretty much stole the show in every single X-Men movie that he was in. So I was happy that they brought him in. So yeah, I hope they kind of go back and fix that and bring it back, because that was a really good portion. And then the other thing that I really loved about WandaVision, and again, it goes back to that whole continuity thing with MCU, and it was like one of the first few scenes, Jimmy Woo comes walking in and he has the card trick, and I was like, he loved the card trick so much that he saw from Ant-Man that he learned the illusion himself, and that's what he used with that card. Like that's just such a tight storyline with MCU. That's like, it's the little things like that I appreciate. That's what they do for the fans.
It's such a dumb little wink and a nod that you go, yeah, I love it. It's and to be honest, a lot of these people have come from this kind of universe, like the Russos. Who wrote the Spider-Man movies? Look it up. But like a lot of these people have come from the Communities and the Rick and Morty's, like that whole little world. And like if you like those shows, they're always so continuity based. Mm-hmm. And so it's actually like it's so nice to see, like, he loved
John Watts.
No. He wrote it. Chris McKinnon. That's it. He was an executive producer on Community. But like those little things, it's just as you said, they're like such a wink and a nod and like a little thing that you can love about just the character. And like the idea that like the reason why MCU is always, and we'll get into this way more, but the reason why MCU has always been better than DC in the sense of these type of movies is because everything that has happened between these two, the coolest thing that happened is a nice.
It does get excited.
Like in what is it? Winter Soldier. He walks up with he comes up and he's hanging out with Nick Fury. This is Captain America, and he's looking at the helicarriers, and he's like, "Who are these Tony Stark made?" Right? And you go, "Yeah, that motherfucker was hanging out with Tony Stark. I've seen them together." You know what I mean? These aren't little wink and egg Easter eggs. These are you believe the lines because you know that they're actually together. It's not Easter eggs. It's not little hidden facts. Like some of these things, Jimmy Woo flashing that card and doing that fun little magic trick. You're like, yeah, that's because Ant-Man showed him how to do it because he was there for 2 years.
I know we were talking about this. We're talking about the MCU TV shows, but just to talk about the movies real quick. So I started watching the Disney Plus MCU timeline order, and so it goes. To
be fair, this goes with continuity.
Okay. True, yeah. So it starts with Captain America, and then it goes to Captain Marvel, which are like years and years apart, technically in release.
Technically, order. Phase 1 and Phase 2 were stumbling around because they didn't really know what they were doing.
But if you watching those two movies back to back are still so tight together because the way that they film them and the way that the story goes, it all falls in line so well that you're like, if I was just watching this for the first time and I had absolutely no idea, you would think that these were movies that came right after each other.
Yeah, like so first Avenger and then it was Captain Marvel and then you went like in that you're like, no.
So it's like you have the Captain America has a Tesseract with Red Skull, and then they're looking for the same Tesseract in Captain Marvel, and it's still building. At the end of Captain America, they have Nick Fury, who puts Captain America into the. They think he wakes up and he thinks he's in like old time New York and realizes he's not. And then in Captain Marvel, they have Nick Fury kind of mulling over this all right, now I've met two superheroes.
I've met two superheroes and I've seen aliens.
Yep. And he's like, I need the sword. And he jots down this Avengers initiative. And then Iron Man comes in, and that's where he's like, all right,
now let's get this started.
Going. So it's just those 3 movies in a row starting is I love what they do. It's just it's so crazy. It's amazing.
Oh, believe me, and we are very much fans that anyone could come after us and be like, "Well, you do understand." Yeah, fuck you. Because the fact of the matter is, sometimes we understand that we'll fan hard and we give them a lot of credit, even when they're not even trying. We'll be like, "Yeah," but that's the enjoyable thing with this whole universe is that WandaVision. I'm not even sure if it should have been good. Because to be honest, as my kid, and he likes the MCU, but when he started trying to, he's like, this is kind of boring. And it's because he doesn't understand what was happening, which kind of makes sense. And even my mother was doing the same thing. But when you're a fan, you're like, oh, what's this little thing? Why are they acting so normal? Wait, how is Vision alive? What's happening? Did she create Vision? Did she do that? And that's and then at the end, the world then dissipates. And then once that all goes away, you have this weird, sad moment where she has to say goodbye to him, which is crazy.
So that was the last thing that I want to touch upon with WandaVision. Because, like you said, watching this as probably someone who's just getting into it, and they were probably told by a fan to watch the show, and they have no idea of how it goes. So they're not going to appreciate these things. But when you look into the show on a granular level, you are watching Wanda deal with the 5 stages of grief through this entire series. So it's you're feeling her feelings. She starts with denial. She starts with her rage. She goes into bargaining, her depression. And then finally at the end of this series, it's her acceptance. She lets her kids go. She lets Vision go. And it's you feel that heart-sinking moment when you're like, oh my God, I gotta let these people that I love go, but it's for the greater good. And then and she goes into the woods.
And Vision was looking great in that turtleneck.
I love the memes of Vision with the turtleneck and the grills. And
Yo, buddy, you want to be my baby. No, but yes, but you could see it with Denial, the idea that everything was fine, everything was great. The rage that came from when she was being called out by everybody, and she would cast them out for trying to take away her world. Bargaining was the creation and the conversation that she kept having with her brother, where her brother was kept telling her this is not real, which is it's her own, because that was a creation of Agatha and herself, all these things. And then depression was right before, and that's the rage too. She was fucking up Agatha. Well, and then acceptance was allowing the world to go away.
Yeah.
But I mean, the coolest thing about this whole thing is that they went into the Wanda world. They gave these little moments. You're like, oh shit. And then they gave the outside world of you when she casted out Monica. And then we got a whole episode of from the outside when they were looking. Is it Westview?
I believe so.
Yeah. And they're looking in and what is this fucking place? Which I think that was also a theory. She created a hexagon. Wasn't that a thing?
Hex.
Oh, there was. Oh, so is that what that play out? Okay, so that's what I read. But
even with that, all the cliffhangers, so Monica, who was Captain Marvel for a little bit. I'm trying to remember her.
She's Maria, right? Maria Rambeau's daughter.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maria Rambeau's daughter, yeah.
And she's in Captain Marvel.
But no, I mean she actually had the Captain Marvel mantle for a little
bit. Yeah, but
she has her own.
But that doesn't happen now.
And I'm trying to think of her name.
Photon,
thank you. So, is she going to become Photon? Is she going to take over? Because she's supposed to be in, I know, again, movies, continuity, whatever. We're going to mix it all together. She's going to be in the Marvels. She's going to be in the Marvels
because then their MCU show, and we'll get into more of what's coming next, is they're going to bring, what's her name? Kamala Khan, right?
Kamala Khan.
Which actually, by the way, that video game, she's pretty fucking badass. She got big ass fists. But no, and that's the thing. You when she gets cast out, you realize that it was and that's when they start discovering these are the clothes she's wearing is a creation of they're coming from the magic that's happening with Scarlet Witch. Which then, as the show keeps going on, you find Catherine Hahn's Agatha, who by the way played that perfectly. Yeah. She was fucking awesome. She's great. She's going to do a great show. She was great.
It was me all the time.
Yeah, that theme song is the best.
I even killed the dog.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
You're oh god damn! Oh man, Agatha's straight evil. She was great, but the idea that she saw that the power that could come from it. She's the one who introduced Scarlet Witch, which is Agatha's the one because Wanda never went by Scarlet Witch. No, she was just Wanda.
Yeah.
So she was Wanda Romanoff. So I was no, Romanoff, that's Natasha. Wanda something Skinnadovi? Fucking Sokovia. Who am I? So anyways, but it was always just Wanda doing this, Wanda doing that. She's doing witchy shit. But that's the thing is that that's Eric telling his son to get him another one. So that was so with it.
I don't know why that was so hard. Thank you.
I literally just thought he opened it.
Have kids so they can get you beers.
Yeah, it's one of the upsides. But no, and then Agatha's whole then you go to the Covenant and feel that dude, I haven't watched this in a while. But the basement, being in the basement, and then that was okay. So in the start of it was obviously with Marvel, you're always what's happening post credit. Nothing happened in the first four episodes, and then finally they started doing post credits, and then that becomes a theme through all the Marvels. Post credits come in the fourth
when they choose them.
Yeah, fifth or sixth episode, and that's when what's coming.
Which I will also say, as much as I love these shows, screw Disney Plus for actually making me wait a whole week to watch a new episode of something, because this is the first of like that really happening.
Yeah.
It was normally like I'd wait maybe a couple weeks and I'm like, I'm just gonna binge everything, as soon as I can. And they were like, nope.
No, you want to
watch a couple episodes if you like, but you are still gonna wait until the next one comes out. And if you choose to wait until the end, good luck, because you're probably gonna get spoiled by somebody.
Facebook screamer, yep. Like anything you go ever, like, hey, this is the reason why this happened. You're like, you motherfuckers. Well, that's the thing, is that, but like, wanted to go from I Love Lucy, and then the second one was more of like a Brady Bunch, right? Yeah. Like that was kind of idea, and like I was like a kooky. Like, actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I rewatched it with Sarah's mom, and I really did enjoy when Vision got gum in his gears.
It was such a dumb,
stupid, hokey,
it was one of those like old timey I Love Lucy, like Bewitched episodes where like stuff just happened, and they were like, even the stupid little like music and sound effects were all the same. Like it was.
So that's also
so well written and so well done.
Because what was so well directed too is that when they came into the real world, or anytime that the real world was happening, they would change the style of the directing. They would bring the bars in, or they would actually like, it would get darker and focused. It was actually really well done, where like, even though like nothing was happening, there was a lot of weird tension. Like when the boss was choking, and then she had to tell Vision to help him, which then made you lead to go like, does she control this Vision? Did she create this Vision? Like, so you're like, oh shit. And that, like, even that little moment, by the way, the woman who plays Kitty from That 70s Show and was in that episode, like, has she not aged? Is she just she was the same age in the Friends as I've seen her now.
Deborah Rupp.
She is
awesome.
She's a fantastic one, like that laugh. But like not even like she hasn't aged either. She always looks like a cool mom.
So I was actually like, it's so funny you said that. I was literally just kind of looking this up. So Deborah Jo Rupp, and we already talked about Jimmy Woo, but like those two, including Kat Dennings, who played Darcy Lewis,
which, by the way,
ended up like
way to retcon her too, because she was a dumb ass little intern, and I'm pretty sure they said she was like a poli sci major, and then now she's like an astrophysicist or like you're like, wow, and now she's super smart, but she's still kind of fun and quirky. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, so we're gonna make her something, which is then like, okay, so I think, didn't I see something like, oh, that was like a theory where Jimmy Woo and Kat Dennings should do like an X-Files episode?
Yes,
yeah.
I would watch the fuck out of that.
By the way, Random Park is fun. Yeah. Like, did you see that movie called the one with Ali Wong? It's not Call Me Maybe. Always Be My Maybe.
I think I know what you're talking about. No, I have not seen that.
You should see it. They make Keanu Reeves into an asshole, which is hilarious.
Yes. Okay, now I know. I definitely know what you're talking about. I've seen clips of that, so I'm gonna have to watch that.
I love when any type of actor will always poke fun of themselves. But no, like that's the thing, is that like the greatest thing about the show is that they created such good side characters out of it. As you're saying, Agatha, who's getting her own show, Jimmy Woo, like what's going on? Introduce Sword, which, by the way, when you introduce Sword, now you're like, oh, that's what Nick Fury was doing, is with Sword. And then you're like, well, is Nick Fury part of Sword, or is Sword part of this, or is Sword monitoring what's happening with the Skrulls, which also then goes into other that's the thing. That's the thing with Marvel too, is they'll drop shit and just see what happens. Yeah. They're like, how are the fans going to react to what we say? And then the second we react, they'll make. Like, that's the biggest thing, is they don't give a shit. They'll do what we want.
I was reading.
Which, by the way, is the greatest business model. Like, hey, we really think that Peter Parker should have been an Iron Man too. Okay. And then like, you're like, cool. Yeah. Wasn't it awesome that that's Peter Parker? It's some kid in an Iron Man mask. That was not supposed to, but Reddit said, hey, like some kid on Reddit found out there would be no continuity problems. And then Marvel double checked it and said, why not? Like, you know what I mean?
But it's like, even like, that's the thing. All these different companies that they name drop. So like Sword, Shield, Hammer.
Yep.
And it's like, at some point they're eventually going to come back around. Like, I'm just waiting for Jesse Hammer to come back. Not only just because I really like
Sam Rockwell,
but like, there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. So,
well, Hammer's a huge. I mean, he was arrested. He didn't die in Iron Man 2. You know what I mean? Like, there's. Well, if we really still think about it, we're still on MCU TV, but like that's the thing that could come from this stuff because we can do TV through this. Ant-Man and the Wasp. We still don't know who Walton Gargan's character was buying that building for. A lot of people think it was for Norman. A lot of people like now, as you say it, maybe it's for Hammer. Like, who's it for? Like,
so actually. It's interesting you said that because I did wonder if he was working for Norman too, but they were saying that clearly because in Spider-Man No Way Home, there is no Norman in this universe, that it has to be a different...
Maybe it's Hammer.
Yeah. So it's like, who was he working for now?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're like, honestly, we're doing this thing where we like rant a lot and we're not doing WandaVision.
We'll keep going.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to like,
we'll bring it back.
Like once you guys watch it and then, like, like all this will make sense. Like, I guess maybe next time we should try to break down Falcon and Winter Soldier when we go into it. But like, essentially what happens is she goes to the grooves. She has like 2 children, Billy and Tommy, who then when at the end of like a big fight with Agatha and she realizes this is her thing, she actually lets the whole world go. And when she lets the world go, she lets go of her vision and the 2 other kids, or her kids, Billy and Tommy. Well, you find out that Sword has been creating a new vision without the Mind Stone, which is white vision, right? Which after watching Peacemaker, I don't know if that's it shouldn't be known as white vision. I mean, like, why can't it be black vision?
It was actually legitimate. Yeah. But so like, actually, I will touch upon that in a little bit.
So like a whole white version of you're like a whole white version of vision. So like, and then which actually was kind of cool. That Vision actually beat Vision with logic. like you're like, oh,
1011111.
Which and then like so then he goes off and becomes his own person based off the logic. So aka this Vision could teach the old Vision or no, the new Vision how to be Vision.
So
yep, I said that.
That actually did happen in the comics, I believe. At least if I remember right.
What one Vision taught it in the Vision?
There was a white Vision that had lost all of his memories and he had to kind of regain them.
Why has it got to be white?
Because he's literally white. But all right, let's get into the next TV show because I apparently I can talk a whole lot more about WandaVision than I originally.
I didn't realize that. We don't really talk that much, even though it's all text, but we don't talk a lot because text isn't hard.
So Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So this was the second one that came out, and I would say that this one had a bit more of a movie feel than WandaVision had. WandaVision definitely felt like a TV show. Falcon and the Winter Soldier felt like it was supposed to be a movie that they broke down and made it episodic.
Which again, I think was like 6 episodes.
Yep.
Which okay.
Oh, sorry. WandaVision was 9.
WandaVision was 9 episodes? What the fuck happened for 9 episodes? Oh, they were only a half hour.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, dude, and they did it right too. Yeah. Like a nice and that's the thing. So this one was 6 episodes. Yep. And it was because they became more of an hour. They started
breaking it down. It was shorter episodes or shorter episode lengths, but the time limit was going up a little.
Yes. So Falcon and Winter Soldier became a little bit more. So this actually with my wife. She didn't like Falcon and Winter Soldier as much. But so the reason why sometimes the MCU and I think it was Crackle who said this, and I want to say because it's not my thought, but it's true. The reason why a lot of the MCU is very successful compared to other superhero movies like DC is because what it is, and I've said this to you 1,000 times, it's about a human with superpowers doing something. So you're always the reason why Logan's last movie was successful was because it was about Wolverine's redemption story. So you're just watching a character named Wolverine, greatest character of all time. My son's name's Logan. He's great. But you're watching Logan redeeming himself in a world. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not just watching someone who's superpowered doing superpower shit. You're always watching, or you're watching a type of show starring a show or movie starring superpowered people. So Winter Soldier was a spy movie with Captain America. You know what I mean? Like, and Iron Man 3, like, even it was next, but it was a buddy comedy. Like, even Iron Man 2 is a buddy comedy. Like, Thor Ragnarok became like a buddy comedy. Like, it's a fun little, like, it's like a romp. You know what I mean? With Thor, you know, like, and it's a buddy comedy of, like, it's Thor and Hulk just going across the galaxy to save the world. You know, like, it's
Does it really?
Yeah, like, Guardians of the Galaxy are about a ragtag group of people who save the universe. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing formulaic and known entities with characters that we love. Like, Black Widow was a spy movie, so we liked it. Like, it was fun. Like, it's starring Black Widow. Which, by the way, do you ever know Black Widow? I don't know. Is this Scarlett Johansson or is this Black Widow? Like, was that the character she always wanted to do, or does she always smirk?
I think that was just in the movies.
Do you think so?
I'm trying to think of any other movie I've seen Scarlett Johansson in. Like, she does that quite.
She doesn't smirk all the time?
No.
She remember Gone Girl? You ever see a Gone Girl?
Yeah.
You know, like when they're like, you did your sheet-eating grin, so everyone thinks you're guilty?
Yeah.
Like with Ben Affleck, which I was like, perfect. Like, I was like, why are you smirking all the time? Like, you know, like, were you saying funny stuff? But anyways, like, that's the thing with Falcon and Winter Soldier. My wife doesn't like buddy comedies.
What? Why?
I don't know. She's fucking weird, man. Like, and then, like, which is funny.
Nothing against you, but why?
I don't know. She loved Peacemaker. But so I think she doesn't really like Falcon or the Winter Soldier. So like, or one of the two, or I don't know. But like, so like when they're coming together doing a buddy comedy, she's like, fucking who cares? So like, you know, like, so she's like, screw it. And that was the thing, is that the Falcon and Winter Soldier is a movie. It's a buddy comedy with two characters who don't get along.
No, see, I think this is again to the MCU people knowing what works of what fans enjoy.
Yeah.
That one scene in is it Infinity War? No. What's the one with
Winter Soldier when she kisses and then they keep shitting on each other?
They're sitting in the fucking back
but
seat.
Not even Civil War when they fucking shit on each other the whole time.
Yeah.
They're fighting Spider-Man who's beating the shit out of them.
So it's like, it's just stuff like that. They're like, okay, like maybe there's a chemistry in between these two guys. So let's see how that works out. And it's like, I think it works. And even though this one had some theories coming out, probably more in my mind than anybody else that I actually wanted to. Like, I think their dynamic together was so great.
I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, I personally loved it. I thought, honestly, I liked the idea. Well, you know, so if we want to get deep, it was nice to see what is the difference, or like what's going to happen to Bucky. Because Bucky's story was more like with no Steve. And what I've done, like, how do I live a good life? Like, honestly, it was like 100 years of being a fucking like deadly assassin under mind control, which
he's still trying to cope with.
Well, he said the only time I didn't have, like, any time that I wasn't in my own head was when I was in Wakanda, and it was just one of those things where they allowed him to be himself, like, and he like did something similar. It seemed like he was just on the range, or like, and just being peaceful.
Which I love that the fucking I was just about to call them Dothraki. I'm sorry. Oh my god.
Yeah, Dothraki, yeah.
No, they're not the Dothraki. That's from Game of Thrones. Oh my god, why can't I remember the names?
I don't know, but yeah, you're right. Jason Momoa's and this is fantastic.
So
you want to look at it?
I love how
Why don't you look it up?
I will look it up as it comes up.
You do understand this is Black Panther, right? You not to know. I'm Sam. You're Gamer Blerd.
I love how
you're Gamer Blerd, and I'm Sam.
Hey, I wasn't originally going to talk about this stuff, but I do love how they came in and they were just like, "Hey, you're still the White Wolf, like, pipe down. This is our thing, right now."
Oh, dude, when they fucking took his arm off, I love it. Anyways, let's not get into that yet. Okay, so because we're now on episode 4. So, and that's the thing with the Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was two characters that were together because of someone else, Sam. No, Sam. Steve. Sam is, but like was because together from Steve, and then you find out they've separated, and then when Falcon is still doing stuff for the military and doing, and then Winter Soldier's trying to figure out his own self-worth in life. Which, by the way, that's that whole scene where he like takes that like Japanese father out. Like was like killer. He's trying to date, but he's like dating like he's still in the 40s. I was like, this show is fucking great. Like how like you're doing fantastic work. The idea that like someone would come out of it and like because Steve wasn't the only one on ice. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Winter Soldier is the same character as Steve. Deadlier, but like at the same time, he's the same character as Steve, but now he like Steve always lived with a world of justice and truth and righteousness. Winter Soldier lived through a life of disgusting hate and murder and mind control. So he has to come with those terms. And then what you're seeing is that there's actually these people who now, and this is why dealing with the snap, like these shows dealing with the snap are like crazy cool, because now you're seeing a faction of people saying the snap, like this world was better with the snap. And the idea behind it was that I forget, you have to come up with that, you have to show me what that name of the group was. It was like hand over fist.
You're talking about
flag stompers, flag punchers,
flag smashers.
And the idea was because with this, when everything happened with the snap, nations came together to be part of one to deal with the aftermath of what was happening. And then once people came back, nations became greedy again. And then also then started, because you go from let's just go 7 billion to 3.5. And then for 5 years, you're living with 3.5, living this world of craziness of everyone leaving. And then boom, 3.5 fucking billion people show back up and you got to feed them and you got, so like,
it's like there's a very small part of Endgame that kind of talks to that, where Steve is like, "Oh, I saw a whale, in the harbor today," and he's like, "That's not something you normally see, but it's because
there's not a lot of people.
It's clean. There's nothing going on." So
I do want to speak to that though, because in Endgame, I did enjoy the darkness of it and the idea of like what happened when people left and blah blah blah. But for 5 years, no one cleaned up the fucking streets. No one like removed those cars. Like they do an overshot of Wrigley, and it's like, oh, no baseball was ever played again. Why? You can't find fucking people to play baseball?
I think that was like at the very beginning. After a little bit happened.
I don't know because like when Ant-Man's running through the streets, it's like no one's but no one's picking up garbage. Like no one was like, hey, there's a job open now. Like that seems great.
That still was like
I do understand the idea of it was to show like the crazy world that now we live in, like what would happen. Like, dude, do you ever watch that HBO show, The Leftovers?
Yes.
Yes. I didn't watch the second season. Was it good?
Okay.
I probably should just throw it on, but I didn't finish. It was a weird thing. Like when he started seeing a deer, I was like, I don't know what's happening. And then I didn't. Anyways, but like that was only 2% of the world just vanished and like people were fucked up. Imagine 50. You know what I mean? So like that was the idea that they were going with. But like, and that was the funny thing was in Endgame, they're like, everything's crazy. Right? And then afterwards, like, what, everything's fucking back to normal? People like playing baseball, doing cool shit? Like, oh, but we just got 3.5 billion people. So, but anyways, the Flag Smashers were like, they're saying that the blip was actually good. Which, I mean, like...
Church of Thanos.
Yeah, which in like, yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, but Hawkeye was rocking a mug that said Thanos was right. Like, you know, but like, I mean, like in a sense, even though people lost loved ones, blah, 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 like there were more resources, like nations came together to figure things out together. And then once people came back, they didn't know what to do with them. Then now they're in refugee camps and they're allowing people to die again and they don't have the resources to help them. So the Flag Smashers are like a resistance group.
This comes back to the whole, can the villain convince you that they were right?
Oh, I mean, he convinced me when we was talking.
Carly was just the leader of the Flag Smashers and she's going, the world was better. We should continue to do this. And we're going to make sure that we do it by any means possible, even if that means taking super soldier there.
Which, by the way, was actually a huge and great point because when they introduced the new Captain America, which was
John
Walker, which was played by.
I'll look that up while you continue your thought.
I want to say Russell Brand's kid, but I'm Kurt Russell's kid. Wyatt Russell, played by Wyatt Russell. welcome to my mind, people. Played by Wyatt Russell. Like
I suck at actors, by the way.
No, he played a great. I thought he played a great. Like his whole character was great too because it was like, how do I live up to the mantle? Which was Sam's problem. But he wasn't he was chosen by Captain America himself. But Sam said it's not my shield.
Yeah.
And then Walker.
Which I know if anyone's been listening to the show for a while, we know Sam doesn't like two things Sam doesn't like. One is angst.
Ugh.
And two is people who are given powers and they can't fucking deal with it. And I will actually say that this was one time I absolutely agree with that. Like, you are given the mantle of Captain America.
You know,
like, nah, I don't want it. Why? Like, at least with John Walker's arc, like Sam was just saying, like, he was like, can I live up to the mantle? And he's like, you know what? I can't live up to the mantle. I'm gonna take this super soldier serum, and now I can. So
okay, so like let's get into it. There is a super soldier serum that's coming out of. Yeah, I always defer. Like, look at him. What was the? It's the made up city in Africa where Carter was. You know, we haven't watched the show.
I know it's been a long.
We haven't watched. We should have rewatched it before talking about it. It's been a while since like this was on me. By the way, the episodes haven't been coming out because I haven't been able to come out.
This is actually a very big city. In the
it's
comics,
a huge city in the comics because it's the only.
Metroport.
Yes, it's like one of the only like kind of made up places in like, but like Metroport. It's like like Magneto's place.
Yeah. Well, pretty much if there's any criminal activity going on, it's going through Metroport.
Which, by the way, like I love that. And like when you watch like some like the animations for DC, like DC or anything, and there are like all the villains go to a bar. Yeah. You're like, get the fuck out of here. Like you're like, oh, like that's where y'all chill. Like, don't you think Batman would fuck that place up every 3 days? But yeah, so they go to Metroport, and then you find out that like Carter's niece is there, and then like. And the super serum was coming out of that, which then gave it to Carly and her group of Flag Smashers. And then with that super serum, they became obviously super soldiers. And which, by the way, is that a real super soldier serum? Like, was that successful? So this would technically be the first super soldier serum successful?
No, because
Bruce Banner is the. Do you know the Hulk became Bruce Banner because he was trying to become?
He was trying to replicate.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Which was
Black Cat, same thing.
But, well, so are we talking MCU or are we talking in comics in general?
Both.
Comics in general, no, that wasn't the first successful super soldier serum. In the MCU, technically the first successful super soldier serum was done in it was in Civil War because that was how Helmet Zero got Iron Man and Captain America and Bucky.
Yeah, but
back over because they had those like
assassins. But do you like that's the thing is that they so successfully in the sense that they've always had the right of mind.
Yes.
What they had with those super soldiers were crazy. They were crazy. Like, and with Bucky, technically, like
it had to be mind control. It wasn't. They didn't have their own ideas like Captain America.
Yes. Yes. So, all right. So yeah. So they had the super soldier serum come out, and then that's what Carly was taking. But that's the reason why, as you're saying, they got the help of Zemo.
Yep.
And then when they broke up Zemo, is because Zemo was the only one who was successful in creating super soldier serum. So he must be the one who can help.
Yep.
Figure out who's doing it.
Again, the memes are great. That whole fucking dancing meme of him. Excellent.
Which, not even that, like, what an arc. Zemo was a shitty person. Yeah. Now we're actually on Team Zemo again? Like, what's up with that? Which, again, he killed Black Panther's dad. His whole plan in Civil War was ridiculous.
So that was one of the theories that I was really hoping for because Helmet Zero. And I might even be Sam's wrong. Was it Baron or was it Helmet? I think it was Helmet. because Baron was dead. That was the one that was like.
Boy, he was a Baron.
No, Baron Zemo was.
No, but he said that it pays to be a Baron.
Okay. So, Helmet Zero was part of the Dark Avengers, and I was really thinking that they were gonna bust him out, and they were gonna do kind of like a Suicide Squad type of thing. Hey, we'll take time off of your sentence on the raft if you do this for the United States. And then that was going to kind of start the Dark Avengers and start bringing in these different characters. Didn't really pan out the way I thought that was going to, but I still really do like the arc that they did for Helmet Zero. I think it was really good. He kind of redeemed himself a little bit. We'll see how that goes in the future.
These should definitely have been one episode.
What, each
oh one? Yeah, because it seems like we can go forever on it. No, we have a lot of things based off
this. I was just gonna say, let's keep going. But I will say, the last thing that I loved about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the introduction of DeFontaine.
Madam Hydra?
Yes.
Oh yeah, and for them to get her, Julianne Louis-Dreyfus. Was it Julian?
Yeah.
Is it Julian?
Julianne Louis-Dreyfus.
Yes, Julie. Like, she's perfect. Right? So essentially, if anyone didn't watch it and they want to just listen to us, which is, come on, get out of here.
Which would be great.
Like, I mean, if you're just listening to us and now watching this, that means we have fans. It's crazy. Essentially, what happens is that eventually John Walker actually takes a super soldier serum. His ideals and the idea he couldn't live up with the Captain America mantle, and his frustrations with it actually led to the murder of a man with the shield, which then makes Sam know that he needs to take the shield back and to become and use the mantle of Captain America in order to make sure that the legacy is his own. Because the government, of course, when he gave it to the Smithsonian, was like, fuck it, we'll get another Captain America. Which is, again, like, I love all the trope. That's very tropey. Like, this government's stupid.
It's probably true.
Yeah, wow, 100%. They were like, you don't think they're going to bust out a... He's like, he's a track all-star. Like, oh, okay. So because the frustration that no one was, like, respecting him like the other Captain America, he like murders a man, gets like disbarred, like he got like a dishonorable discharge, right?
Yep.
And then he gets approached. Confronted. He gets approached by Madame Hydra or DeFontaine, and she tells him that she's putting together a group of heroes. Which then leads to, is that the Dark Avengers?
Right?
So you're like, oh, shit.
See?
Which then you're like, Madam Hydra was part of that. And then, like, that's like, and you read on Reddits, and then, like, you read Scream Rant, and you're like, these are the theories. And then, like, that's what you would deal with. But, like, that's that. And at the end of the Black Widow movie, she shows up. This is after Falcon and Winter Soldier. She shows up and recruits Yelena.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh fuck! So that's
it's like you have a Captain.
You have Yelena, which is a Black Widow of Dark Avengers.
Yep.
You have a Captain America of Dark Avengers. Yep. What are we doing?
It's coming. So we'll get into that a little bit later as well. All right, so let's move on to Loki. So Loki was just fun. It was
fun
super fun. I love Tom Hiddleston.
I love Owen Wilson.
Yeah,
Owen Wilson's great.
That, like, as much as I love the dynamic between Bucky and Sam Wilson, Owen Wilson and Loki was just absolutely amazing.
No, so yes, 100%. So I forget. So this Loki is the one that comes out of Endgame. This Loki is the one that like disappears with the Tesseract.
Yep.
At the end of Endgame, when all kind of went wrong, and then he disappears into a world, and then he's known as a variant.
Yes.
So then he goes with the TVA.
Variants.
So they're like the time variant a lot. TVA.
TVA. Yep.
Yes, time variant agency. Mm-hmm. So he's then captured and brought to a tribunal, and then what you find out is that they're tracking other Lokis. Mm-hmm. Because Lokis tend to be dicks, and they're the ones who are always causing trouble for the TVA. And the TVA is always trying to create the perfect timeline, which is a tribunal in the TVA or the High Council are the ones that know the one true timeline, and they're making sure with that, they are constantly reducing all variants, removing all variants, killing or trapping or imprisoning all variants in order to make sure that the one timeline happens.
Mm-hmm.
So Owen Wilson's a TVA agent, takes Loki and uses him to become an agent or someone who's help or a consultant to help him track a new Loki. Well, fun fact about that. In order to do that, they show him his life or like what would happen in the one true timeline.
Terrible.
Yeah, like they just like, this is who you would be. And oh, by the way, you die because you're actually a good person. Which I think I saw somewhere. I forget. It was like, I'm probably on Australia. So like, oh look, when you can like in half hour realize you're like become a like handle the hero arc. So you find out like, and then he's like, now he becomes the Loki we know and love. So they're hunting down a Loki who keeps fucking up timelines.
Mm-hmm. And is killing all these agents, and they can't figure it out. So he's doing all this research. He's working with Owen Wilson. Well, Owen Wilson like doesn't trust him,
but trust him. But
yeah,
doesn't.
He thinks that like he's gonna crack the case like finally.
But he
so
like
they finally do, and it turns out to be this female Loki,
which she calls herself Sylvia, right?
Yep, Sylvie,
yeah. But Sylvie, and then he is working with her and wondering why she does it. But what he figured out when he was with Owen Wilson and TVA is that the reason why they can't find her is she keeps going to apocalyptic level events, which doesn't alert the TVA because they can't, even if she's changing timelines or anything, because that area is about to be demolished anyways.
Doesn't think it's supposed to happen.
It's so nothing's really coming on the radar. So he tries to strike a bargain with her, I'm pretty sure. like of course. And then like goes with her to another, like when she escapes, he goes and follows her. Mm-hmm. And then goes to this other level event. They kind of like escape that together. She tells him why and like explains to him that the TVA and everything that she's known. I think she's the version where Thor died at a young age.
Yes.
So Thor died at a young age. Like she will like, and she realizes what is wrong with the TVA since being chased.
Because I think they kidnapped her.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
They took her to custody, and then she escaped.
Yes, because she was a variant.
Yeah.
So like they knew that she wasn't part of the timeline where she was supposed to be. So they took her at a young age, and then she escaped, and then started wreaking havoc all through the timelines. So her whole motive is basically figuring out who's behind the TVA, and basically to create chaos. Mm-hmm. Because that's important to her. Well, I mean, like, and if you watch the show, you better watch the show. I can't. Like, you like Owen Wilson kind of gets on their side, kind of figures out, TVA is kind of a bunch of bullshit, especially since TVA are fucking robots, the council, and they're not real. They expose that, and then you find out the person who worked closely with Owen Wilson's character, that female character. Do you remember?
That's Ravonna Renslayer. So that's the thing right here. That's exactly where I wanted this to go to.
Thank you.
So this show did such a great job at setting up, and I don't know if we mentioned this a little bit earlier, because again, Smash Bro, we're drunk. Or if we were just talking about this before we even started this. What MCU does is they set up everything. And Loki is pretty much the biggest setup of everything that's probably going to proceed from here. And the one thing that they didn't do was say what her name was the entire time. She was always just the head person of the TVA. She worked closely with, Owen Wilson. But if they said her name, everybody would have known immediately who the big baddie was going to end up being at the end, because Ravonna Renslayer is the girlfriend of King the Conqueror.
Oh.
So that was probably one of the best twists that they did. And I believe her name wasn't revealed either until the second to last episode or the last episode. But like once it came out, I was like, oh, there it is. And then that's when Sylvie and Loki, they figure out how to get to the end point of time, and they confront Kang, and he's kind of revealed as this person who has been doing all of these timelines, and he knows exactly what's going to happen. And then one of the greatest kind of contested theories right now is he goes, I don't know what's going to happen after this. I haven't seen this before. And that's where everyone's kind of like, what does that mean? Is this because of Wanda? Is this because of Stephen Strange? Like, what's going on? But this is one of the biggest jumping off points of whatever is going to happen in the MCU. So that's why I liked Loki a whole lot.
Well, I liked Loki a whole lot. They basically told you there's going to be a second season, so excited. 2, when they were, there was a couple things. When he went to the end of time, and he essentially met all the other versions of himself, and he hated himself, that was fantastic. 3, Alligator Loki's the best. like he's fantastic.
We're going to touch upon this again in a little bit. But yes, so 1, Black Loki.
Oh, yes. Which, by the way, he had, didn't he have Mjolnir?
Yes. And then President Loki. Those are my 3 favorite Loki variants. And they were just like,
I love that they all turned on each other, and then he's just like, really? Is this what I am? Like when he
one episode,
because he got to he got to realize, oh, I'm this guy. I'm this predictable. All I do is turn on myself. Like even I would turn on myself. Like, oh my god, it was fantastic. And then Owen Wilson breaking down alligator Loki made me laugh so hard. When he's like, well, I mean, how do we even know he's Loki? And he's like, but the idea that he is not a Loki would be the most Loki thing of all. Like, and you're like, oh my fucking. I was like, dude. And then the idea that like when they got killed, which was what was that called? When they got disintegrated. There's actually a term for it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It was like almost like a cleansed.
Yeah, it's like a recorrection. I actually think it's on that, but like it's like recorrected or something like that. So like when he got, and then like you find out that they only go to the end of time.
Yep.
And when they go to the end of time, because at the end of time nothing happens, because no matter what you do, is you send to the end of time, and then this like big cloud monster would eat you.
It's like Lost.
So that's essentially. So when they get to the big cloud monster, you're gonna get eaten. Well, the Lokis have gotten disintegrated, essentially created their own world. Which then there is one Loki who's literally in the old garb of like the original Loki costume. Which again, I love that they always constantly call out their old costumes. Which we'll get into Hawkeye, and then from there. They find out that inside the monster has to be the creator, the TVA, the guy who's in control. And that's when you find out it's Kang. Which, I will give him credit because it's like, again, honest trailers. Says basically you deal with it. I was like, who is this guy? And why is he getting like monologues? And then I realized it was Jonathan Majors from Lovecraft Country, which I thought was great, and then they canceled. I was like, oh, okay. But he's getting fucking. But they called him the architect, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what he was. You're just triple speaking me, and I don't need it. Like, okay, cool. You're getting on your desk. You're doing a lot of good choices. You're having a time of your life, but. And then you essentially find out you kill him, kill the timeline. You kill him, timeline can separate. The timeline can separate. No one knows what happens. Yep. And that's as he's saying that a lot of theories are coming from, like, was it because of Wanda? Was it because of this? Was it because of that? Technically, you might be right. Maybe if Wanda did that, it changed the outcome of what happens when they meet. Like, that's a lot of things. But and Sylvie kills Kang. And then Loki kills Sylvie, right?
No.
He just says, what did? What did you do? He goes back in time or wakes up. He's back at the TVA. No one knows who he is. And you find out Kang the Conqueror is in control. Yep. Which, by the way, everyone, like, I've just been reading this. Everyone's been saying they've been hinting at Nathaniel Reeds.
We're gonna touch on that.
Okay.
We are gonna touch on that.
Okay. But anyways, but Loki was fun. They set up Phase 4 the best because the idea of Phase 4 is that after this, not only was it like, oh, timelines, weird things are happening, they kind of were setting that up with Endgame. Like, oh, if you mess with the timeline, it creates ripples.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then Loki goes to, and we're going to go into this. Then after Loki, the show is What Ifs and No Way Home, which then dealt the movie, which we dealt with. That was the first one that kind of dealt with multi-universes.
But again, like you said, all set up from Loki,
Mm-hmm.
getting this stuff going forward. So actually, let's get into What Ifs because I was not expecting a whole lot of it. I enjoy the concept of the What Ifs.
Yes.
But I didn't think that they were going to be able to capture a lot of the What Ifs that they do because I had a feeling it was going to have to capture what the MCU meant. But I really, really enjoyed the What Ifs a lot more than I thought I was going to. I wish they could have done some more of the true What Ifs. Yeah, but I think they did. Like Captain Carter
was great.
Was probably one of the best animated TV series that I've actually watched in a very long time. Like,
you need to watch more anime, but yes.
Yes, true. Giving Peggy Carter her due is awesome.
The idea that she was like a no nonsense, doesn't take orders for like, and then that was like the biggest thing is like, and I bet she was still like, and she seemed to be that was her character, always like that, but like to have that and then the superpower was allowing her to basically like, and I understand, but like take it out and show everybody like this is my dick. Yes, well, I'm gonna wave it around. I got super soldier. Look at my biceps. I'm gonna go fuck up some skull, which then was the funniest thing because the What If was just definitely based off what if Steve didn't just let the government let him do the shows. You know what I mean? Bucky would be saved. They would stop the apocalypse. You know, like it was all this shit. Like, you know, like it was literally because she was like, fuck you. Like, I'm not doing some stupid, like,
what if Captain America didn't listen to Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to do some USO tour. I'm going to go fuck shit up. You're like, I'm going to go actually fuck up Red Skull. And that was the thing. And then, like, you know, but like, that was a lot of fun because, and then like Steve became Iron Man. Which then was like, oh, Howard Stark, like because Steve wanted to still be in the fight, which then like speaks volumes about Steve's character was still always trying to be part or help, which and then like we even still got together, no matter if he's like, which was also kind of adorable, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But even like the Hydra Stomper was still pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. I mean, again, it was just a earlier design of an Iron Man suit, which was huge because then it just shows you the lineage that Tony Stark comes from. Like they're going to constantly be able to create. They're always going to, and then Iron Man becomes earlier in it, but it stars Steve Rogers, which then in your mind you're like, oh, does that mean Iron Man never happens because it's happened? Or does Iron Man become stronger in the future? Or like, what's this? What's that? What's this? You know? And then like, that's crazy. Like that was the thing. It's like, okay, so Howard Stark has to be Iron Man. Does that change Howard Stark's whole thing? Will Howard Stark then create a different version of Tony Stark? Like, what's that whole lineage? But the whole thing with What Ifs, and you find out through the series, is the What Ifs are all their own separate timelines.
Yep.
And now timelines now became a factor because of Loki.
Yep.
So technically, all these what ifs could actually be realities because at the end of Loki, they showed the timeline. Like so, the timeline was visible, and they showed once they killed Kang, the splintering of the timeline at the end, quote unquote, end of the world.
But even with that, again, this goes back to the continuity of the MCU. So before, well, I can get back into the other stuff even after we say this, but what they show is they introduce the multiverse.
Yep.
In Loki.
Yep.
And showing that there's different timelines, different variants of all these heroes and what they do and what happens. So you're thinking, what if this happened in this universe? What if this happened in this universe? You're not necessarily thinking of these happening in tandem at the same time, but then they go, oh shit, Ultron becomes, he actually fuses with Vision, becomes a superpower. He now sees all these different universes happening at the same time. He sees the Watcher, who their whole thing is they can't get involved in these different timelines, but now he has to at the end because Ultron is going to go into these multiverses. So it's just like, it's once again the MCU like, we're not going to breach this subject until we make sure that everything is set up in a nice little line.
Yes.
Going forward.
Yes. No, 100%. Like, so the whole show is like in the narration and the vision of the Watcher.
Jeffrey Wright.
Oh, you're perfect.
Great fucking narrator.
I mean,
if we're gonna have someone narrate my life, it's gonna be Morgan Freeman first.
Yes.
And then Jeffrey Wright.
100%. And then Leaf Schreiber.
Yes.
But then, but that's the thing, is that he does a great job doing that. And then you find out he's the Watcher, and no one interacts with the Watcher. The only time, as the show keeps going on, the only one who deals or ever interacts with him and can see him as well, I don't know if he allowed him to see him or he could see him, was evil Doctor Strange.
Yep.
And that was because, like, he was just all by himself in his own little universe, and there's nothing that...
And he did way too much than he was supposed to do.
And the Watcher basically said, you fucked up.
Yeah.
And he wanted him to feel that imprisonment. So that's essentially what, like, that was the whole thing. So, like, what ifs always had... So, like, what is it? What if Captain Carter got the super serums?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if Thor was actually just a party boy still? Like, that was a fun episode. That was stupid. That was just like... It was so stupid but fun.
It was one of those episodes that, like, was so dumb that you wouldn't be like, oh, I want to see how this is going to proceed to anything else. And they were like,
no, we got a second episode for this.
This is going to pretty much set up everything else.
But no, like, the second episode, which, by the way, like, voiced by Chadwick Boseman.
Yep.
Rest in peace.
Keep it coming, Sam.
Which, by the way, like, I've been watching Castle, that show, Castle, with Nathan Fillion and Stana. And the reason why we watch it is because every night it's like a nice little warm hug before you go to bed, because it's so, like, it's not too much. It's not too little. It's just enough. It's like a nice little warm hug. It's like a good cookie, warm milk. But it's so funny to see that Chadwick Boseman was a bit character magician in that episode. One of these episodes of season 3. And then he's fucking Jackie Robinson. He's fucking James Brown. He's fucking Black Panther. Like, but anyways, he voiced the idea of Star-Lord. And then the second episode, it was second episode, right?
Even the second, I think it was the second, yeah.
But it was T'Challa was picked instead of Peter Quill, which was cool, because it was actually really cool, because T'Challa's fucking chill, and he's smart, and he's awesome. He actually talks down Thanos. Yeah. He's part of the Ravengers. Like, it was some stupid shit.
But like he's literally what Star-Lord
should be. Yeah, he's like a good guy. Yeah. People follow him. Like, he's a leader.
They love his ideals. They're like, yeah, we can fuck with this guy.
Yeah, awesome. We understand. Like, even
okay, honestly, can you imagine talking down a absolute homicidal like a genocidal maniac to being part of your crew? Like, that's
like, it was like he's like, yeah, I had a good point. And you're like, oh, you did? This guy had a lot of good points too. Like, and he was very ideal. Yeah. Like, he had a lot of ideology behind that. But no, yeah, so then, like, that was a great, like, that was the thing, is like, what if T'Challa became Star-Lord? Well, he'd be great. He'd be a better Star-Lord than Star-Lord. Like, and like, then he voiced and it was like, it's crazy that his last work was like a what if episode, but like, they gave a good, like,
rest in peace.
Yeah, they gave like a good, like,
I think they did him
send
justice.
off. Oh yeah, he was fucking bad.
Yeah,
he was the shit as Star-Lord. Like he fucked people up. Like,
but like again,
with 2 pistols and rocket boots.
They did, this episode with T'Challa as Star-Lord, which was probably the best episode of the entire series. But then they have the episode with Stephen Strange losing his love of his life and just like doing all the stuff you're not supposed to do as Supreme Sorcerer. But then at the very end of
I have a question
this
about
show, they loop everybody together to come together to defeat this,
which was Ultron,
multiversal threat.
What if Ultron threatened the multiverse?
And that's what that was.
And that was what it was. That it was because the idea is that Ultron became so powerful, and he was so powerful with the Mind Stone and everything else, that the second, and it was like, I heard someone was always saying this is lazy writing, which is true. Second Thanos came in, he murdered him, and then took all the stones from him. He just cut them in half.
It took nothing for him to do.
Yeah, which I mean, technically, if you really look back on it now, Infinity War,
if he went for the head,
I mean, well, not even that. Vision was out of commission the whole time. You know what I mean? So maybe he could have fucked him up. But
actually, I've been seeing some stuff that are trying to blame Steve for this.
Steve?
Yeah.
What'd Steve do?
That he should have been able to get the glove off of Thanos. 1v1, Steve was supposed to get the glove off of fucking Thanos, which I think is absolutely fucking ridiculous. When you have 5v1, this was definitely all on Peter Quill.
Oh, 100%. Star-Lord I cried about his fucking girlfriend. Like, what did you do? Who they just dated like a month ago. But we only put this in so that when you do this, it makes more sense. Because like you guys were kind of hinting at it, but like she was totally not into it. And then comes Infinity War, and we do this to be a thing. So no, but like, what if? And then like they even had like, what if Killmonger? That was the weirdest one. So like, even what if Killmonger like won and like made a point, like, and then became like saved Tony Stark, and then he murders Tony Stark, and then he's like a fucking villain. So whole
that's the thing. Yeah, they were like, he just doubled down on it. It was the long game. That's
Like, what if like he did this? It was like he would still be fucking ideal. Like he would still do this.
Like,
all right,
pretty fucking good.
100%. But like, so, and then what they do with that is that they know that Killmonger, and then who's the one he's fighting? Ultron, right?
Well, so originally he's doing like Tony Stark and kind of all his
because then he takes his suit over.
Yep.
And then now that he has his suit, he can try to like incorporate and take the Infinity Stones. Mm-hmm. And then he's still fighting the Ultron because
they grabbed him.
Yes. Okay. So what happens is like
he still became a fucking.
There was a version where Gamora and Iron Man were coming up with a machine to kill Ultron, and because they went into a different timeline, the vibrations, like the frequency. Mm-hmm. Wasn't the same. So all it did was take him down for a moment, and then he was still alive. But because then it was Killmonger versus Ultron trying to take those Infinity Stones, evil Doctor Strange then encapsulated him and trapped him in a prison, like some type of like universe prison, and then went back to his own universe to hold.
He has to watch them.
Yes.
To make sure they don't break out.
Which, for some weird reason, he agreed to.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like his penance.
And he knows it's his penance because he agreed that that's what's going to be. But that's what... So what if was just to like kind of like set up the idea that the world can happen and weird things can now happen due to variances.
The multiverse variances and everything. Everything's just set up.
Yep. And then No Way Home came out, and now Doctor Strange is going to come with the multiverses. And then the idea is like, I said this to you, and what if I want it to be like, what if I like, because they're just telling it, and this is separate, right? But if they're going to do movies or the show with characters we know, I want it to be, and I'm assuming, Earth 616 characters dealing with the multiverse. And then, like, our view is from main multiverse to the outside, rather than them starting to splinter off and doing other things outside of our quote-unquote universe.
So I think there's going to be a big mix of that. I think they're going to be dealing with the multiverse stuff in some aspects. Some people are going to be dealing with stuff outside of the multiverse. And then at the end...
But they've established such intricate characters that they could stay in our universe.
You're hopping ahead a little bit because I think we're going to touch upon this.
Okay.
In a second. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the last series, Hawkeye.
Jesus Christ, we should have done... This should have been different episodes.
I don't know how far we're into this right now, but it's good.
Like an hour or something.
So, all right, Hawkeye. One, I'm going to say, as much as people fucking gave shit about Kate, they did her character so well. She was...
What have you been reading about Kate? I thought she was great.
Like, people didn't like her, but like that's
who she is.
That's Kate Bishop's character. She's arrogant. Impulsive. She's arrogant. She thinks she's better than everybody because in her mind she fucking is. And to be fair, she kind of is, but she is Hawkeye. Like, she's a Olympian level athlete when it comes to agility, to gymnast, to bow and arrow, like all this shit. That's why she can take this mantle.
So yes, a lot of people don't like Kate Bishop's character because that's what she was, right? She's arrogant. She's blah 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 blah. But they did that with her. She has that, but she also had slight humility to her because she was always wondering if she was good enough.
Yes.
So it was never like she's like, yeah, this is me. Like, she was impulsive, yes, which even Hawkeye calls out. It's like, like, when do you like, how is it that you always get your way by just doing what you want? Like, yeah, but I thought Kate was fine. I thought she was great. I thought she was
excellent.
Like, yeah.
But Haley Steinfeld,
she's fucking fantastic. She's like, and it's so weird because like I was like, who's she? And then every time she shows up in something, I'm like, she's fine. She's great. Like, I enjoy her.
I mean, Jeremy Renner, like, I think what's best about the Hawkeye series is that they make fun of Hawkeye so much because that's what they do kind of outside of the comics. Like, yes, Hawkeye is supposed to be, this fantastic, he's not really an assassin, but he's like, this fantastic bow and arrow person. He has all these trick arrows and stuff like that. But it's like,
I mean, technically his superpowers he never misses. But
you're a human amongst gods. So it's like, why are you part of this team? So it's like they take this and they run with it. And it's like, they talk about the trick arrows because it's like they never really mention the trick arrows in the movies or anything. So they kind of bring that into the fold, and that's what Kate Bishop really loves because he knows that he has them. And then it's like, nobody really respects you, Hawkeye. Like, let's give you a new persona. Let's change your narrative. Like, let's fix this. And he's like, no, like, I'm fine. And she's like, no, you're not. Like, let's get this going. So like, it was a fun show that was making fun of itself while not making fun of itself.
No, they were dealing with high level stuff. But it wasn't high level. Yeah, as you said, they were dealing with high level of stuff, but not too high that they need to call the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, so like it was one of those things where I have to deal with what Ronan did.
Yes.
And with what Ronan did was kill a lot of people. Like, like I fucking killed a lot of people. So a lot of people. Like, so many people. It was 5 years worth of people. Like literally they hinted towards it and it was a lot more. And you saw the 85 people I killed in Endgame, but like times that by like 365 times by 5. Like, that's a lot of people. So he like Ronan kills a lot of them. So then she steals obviously steals the Ronan suit, which gets then like, and then they kept hinting towards other things. Like, it always like to the tracksuit mafia, and then you're like,
which again was what people. And I guarantee these are people that don't pay attention to the comics, or even once they hear something, look into it. Tracksuit Mafia is actually a very legitimate group in the comics. They're like, these people are stupid. No. Like,
yes, they are.
This is what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, that was their whole idea, bro. Like, that's the reason why they're here, bro. Like, that was so stupid. It enabled fun banter. They introduced Echo.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're like, oh, that's another version of Hawkeye. And she was actually a villain at the time. Like, she was part of the Troxu Mafia. And then she comes to a term where she realizes, even though Ronan killed her dad, it wasn't Ronan who was like a soul. We realized that what happened with Ronan is Ronan was actually employed by her boss, which then turned out to be Kingpin. And then you're like, oh shit, Kingpin, who's this? Oh, it's only fucking Vincent D'Onofrio from the Daredevil series.
This is where I absolutely fucking love the bosses at MCU, because you have Charlie Cox, who's like, nope, I would love to be back into the MCU, but I don't think I'm ever going to be in the MCU. You got Vincent D'Onofrio, who's like, yeah, like, oh wait, I just heard that Charlie Cox might be in the MCU, but I don't think my luck's going to be the same. I wish I could be back in the MCU, and then like, all these Netflix shows get taken down. Even all the other shows, like, they're like, no, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not in continuity, but then they're like, yeah, there is some continuity because of the multiverse and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, you see Vincent D'Onofrio show up as fucking Kingpin in this show, and you're just like, holy fucking shit. Spider-Man, you see Charlie Cox come back as fucking Daredevil, like, holy fucking shit. Like, it's now merging these universes together, finally making that continuity, and you're like, this is what they do because of us. Yeah, they're like, they know this is the shit that we want to fucking see. So I guarantee it, but I shouldn't say I guarantee, but like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, like, these people are gonna come back and be in the MCU finally, like, again, and just be all family.
Well, I mean, like, Charlie Cox and Kingpin, like, and the idea that Charlie Cox said that he would love to come back, like, and the MCU has said that they would love Michael Coulter and they would love Kristen Ritter to be part of the MCU, which I think, like, I've seen other things saying that they would love to be part of it too, which is then leads to other things. So Hawkeye, essentially, with Hawkeye, they brought Yelena into it. Yelena was supposed to kill Hawkeye because Hawkeye... She does
such a fantastic job.
I made really good macaroni. Like, she does she's funny, she's fun. Like,
Florence Pugh?
Yes. Yeah. She's funny, she's fun. Like, she's a good indication of what happens after you come back. What she came back from the snap, doesn't know what happens. She just built a relationship with her sister, and then 5 years later, her sister's dead. To her, it was a second ago. Like, she should have been able to call her. Like, that's the craziest thing for her. Like, she blames Hawkeye because Hawkeye was there and let her go, even though technically, we all know that Natasha jumped and made she sacrificed herself for the people, which is who she is. Yelena didn't believe it, tried to kill Hawkeye. Yelena's fucking great. They do nothing to improve the Dark Avengers storyline, but
I think they kind of do.
But they bring her back into it, so she's continuing it. Which you're also finding out that Black Widows are still around as assassins.
So it's like, now if she takes it to be the new Black Widow to continue that legacy because she thinks that's what Dave Fontaine or Madame Hydra's trying to do, they can keep going with that.
Exactly. So that was the thing. So Yelena was great. Kate Bishop was a great introduction, trying to find out with that. And this will all lead now, like, to where we're going to go with storylines. But now, like, we had Kingpin introduced, Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock was introduced, which, by the way, I heard they actually, like, edited out a version where they, like, kind of, like, hinted to Favreau being Foggy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was actually, and then, like, well, they'll probably take away. We actually don't want to, we don't want anyone to know we made that. So that's, like, now we're introducing those people into it, which is, like, now where are we going to go with Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Blade, like, all these new MCU shows that are coming. What is everything now creating, especially now with No Way Home that came out and Doctor Strange's multi-universe? Like, is the multi-universe of Doctor Strange going to create like, are we doing a Infinity crisis? Oh, not Infinity. Is that Infinity Crisis?
Essentially.
Yeah. Is that like is that what?
They call it the Infinity Saga.
No. I meant like what's the DCU version of it? Crisis on
Infinite Earths.
Yes. Are we going to kind of do that, or like, is he going to merge them all into one, which then creates a weird version of everything? But Murdoch was there before, like, so, like, that's kind of what I'm at. I'm like, I'm curious, like, where are we going to go with this? The only thing I have, like, She-Hulk, I enjoy because I think Mark Ruffalo is already part of it. There's rumors that Jessica Jones is going to be part of it. Because she's a lawyer, so she'll probably use Jessica Jones as a private eye, creates a cool little dynamic. Is she going to be intricate to it, or is it a wink and a nod for herself?
I like that.
Yeah, is that is that what's going to happen? Secret Invasion has already been introduced from not Way Home, Far From Home.
Yep.
Because now Nick Fury's with Sword, or like it's Sword and the Skrulls, they're on a plane. Secret Invasion, there's a ton of Skrulls now that we're impersonating. Are we worried about Skrulls that are there? Are we worried about evil Skrulls? Are we worried about a different shape-shifting thing? Like, what's up with that? Secret Invasion is going to be fucking annoying, I can tell you right now. But the only thing I'm curious about is what the fuck is Moon Knight doing?
So now you bring up a good point about Moon Knight. So I have been reading some stuff about Moon Knight and what they're going to do, and it seems like they're not really going the Mark Spector route just yet, but they're definitely bringing in the supernatural, which I think is going to tie into probably like Blade and all some of that other stuff. One thing that me and Sam were talking about before we started this episode was with Blade, is one of the things that I was reading is that they're not necessarily just going to go the vampire route with Blade, but that Blade is really around to help sniff out and eliminate all these kind of like people with special abilities, which include sorcerers. So it may be possible that he's going to be seeking out, Doctor Strange and kind of like making sure he's being on the level. So, we'll see how this all plays out, but I'm definitely excited for Moon Knight. Again, with She-Hulk, I kind of agree. I think she's a fun character, and I like Mark Ruffalo.
Not even that, the woman who's going to play She-Hulk, like, she was in The Orphan Black, and then she played like 1,000 different characters, which I heard was awesome. But like, I actually still have to watch that. But I listened to the podcast Comedy Bang Bang when she's on that. She's actually hilarious and fun. So I assume she's like a great character.
What I've actually heard is that this is going to be more of a crime comedy. So it's going to be like or I should say like a law comedy, not so much a crime comedy. And it's going to introduce like a lot of random characters like as they go through. So it's going to be, her focusing on helping all these superpowered heroes, through their legal troubles. So I think it's going to be kind of like what was that short-lived show where they were the people who cleaned up
Damage Control?
Damage Control. So it's going to be like kind of on that level.
But I know you're talking the one with Vanessa Hudgens.
Yes.
It was called like Powerless or
something like that. So it's going to be like a mix between that and, shows from the MCU. I think Squirrel Girl is going to like show up at some point. So
is Squirrel Girl going to be played by the AT&T girl?
No.
What?
I don't think they've.
Just the voice?
I don't know if they've come down with a girl yet. I know that. So she's Vanny Trub. I forget her first name. But also, I think people want the girl from the singing fucking movies. They want her to be Squirrel Girl too. Anna something. Yeah.
The singing fucking movie? Like which one?
Those stupid singing movies with the chick who used to be fat and now she's skinny.
Oh, Rebel Wilson?
Yeah.
No.
They want her to be fucking Squirrel Girl too. So I don't know if they've found one, but I'm sure it should be fun. But I know that at this point, the most obvious route that they're going to go has to be the Young Avengers. And
yes,
even if not for all the characters that they've kind of already introduced, the reason I say this is Kevin Feige just said something very cryptic but I think depending on how you take it, it explains exactly what he means. He said that Endgame was the last quote unquote Avengers movie. Does that mean that it's the last movie that there's the team, the name Avengers, or that we're never going to see the Avengers again? And what I think is that means the technical Avengers name, that's the last team we'll see as the Avengers, or that makeup of people. So we're probably going to see the Young Avengers. We're either going to see the Secret Defenders or Secret Avengers, which they've also been called. We'll probably also see the Dark Avengers at some time. So for the for the Young Avengers, we've already had Kate Bishop, who we just talked about. We have Billy and Tommy, who were Wiccan and Speed. We have Stature, who's already been showed, who is Cassie Lang, Ant-Man's daughter.
Who's going to be huge in the
Quantumania.
Yes.
We have Patriot, who was Eli Bradley in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was the grandson who, in the comics, gets his super soldier serum from a transfusion, kind of similar to She-Hulk. So I think that's going to be kind of played against each other, like as people were getting blood transfusions. I'm sure that'll probably be related. We have Kid Loki, who was just shown in Loki. We have America Chavez, who is going to be in Doctor Strange 2. Now, the one that I'm kind of hung up on, and Sam mentioned this earlier, and I said we were going to get into this. So one of the Young Avengers is Nathaniel Richards. So not Nathaniel Reeds, who is the Fantastic Four's kid, who is like omni fucking mutant guy. But Nathaniel Richards in the comics becomes King the Conqueror. But in one of his realities, he's trying to not become the villain, and he is Iron Lad, who is part of the Young Avengers. So I'm wondering if maybe in Loki season 2, he finds one of these variants of King the Conqueror, who is Nathaniel Richards,
to try to stop
and maybe
him.
tries to stop himself from becoming a villain, and kind of teams up with them for this. So I have a feeling, and I'm really hoping they go it that way, but I've been proven wrong before, so we'll see. We know Riri is going to be an Ironheart. And then White Vision. This is where I was saying, like, hold on that thought. So White Vision actually was part of the Young Avengers and helped lead the team. So I think he may be part of that.
What is it, like Red Tornado in the Teen Titans?
Kind of, yeah. So I think there's definitely a lot of leeway right now going on for the Young Avengers. And then I mentioned the Secret Defenders. We have the screenshots that we've seen so far of Stephen Strange and the Secret Defenders outfit in the trailers. So definitely think there's something going on there. Now, with the Secret Defenders, they've pretty much pulled in whoever they needed to, for whatever mission was going on. So we never really know who's going to be on there. But some past members have been the Hulk. We've had... I just totally lost my train of thought. But some other characters that have already been introduced into the MCU. So I think there's a good chance that they'll be in there some way, somehow. But we'll see how it's going to go. What about you, Sam? Any other theories that you might have?
No, I think pretty much you wrapped that up. That was pretty good. No, just essentially, I'm excited to see where they go with it. I mean, it's hard to come up with our own theories, considering they already laid out 7 years worth of what their content's going to be. It's just what's the content within those episodes,
Hey, who knows? Maybe some
I will say something
MCU interns going to listen to this podcast and be like, "Hey, they got something going."
Yeah, the one guy. So the only thing I liked is that Riri and Ironheart, they're actually kind of coming out and saying that it is the Oakland Institute that was introduced at the end, which everybody called out. Yeah, everyone called that out.
That's awesome.
And they were like, "Yeah," yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? And you're like, "Cool, thank you." So that's why I like MCU. They'll listen and they'll do what we want, and that's the best.
All right. Well, I think at this point it is review time. So Sam had mentioned a couple episodes ago that we should do our reviews based on themes. So I think since we're doing MCU, We're going to rate our beers 1 out of 5 Infinity Stones. Yes, I know there's 6, but we're going for a theme, people, so just go with it. So, Sam, go ahead and reach your beer.
So it's Tropical Beer Hug Imperial IPA. It's a 20-ouncer from Goose Island. It's about 10% alcohol per volume. It's from Chicago. Tagline's a beach vacation for your taste buds. I'm going to say about 4 out of 5 Infinity Stones. I liked it. I thought it was very drinkable. I thought it was, it wasn't too fruity, but it wasn't too bitter that I didn't like it. Like, it was very drinkable for the level it was at. It was good.
Very nice. And so mine again was the Galactica, which was a West Coast style APA from Brewery Clown Shoes. I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 6 or 5.
You drink 4 of them. No, only 3.5.
I drink all of them, yes. I'm not saying they were a bad beer. They're drinkable. But for West Coast IPA, it tasted a little different than I'm used to. It had a very dark, like amber taste, where it was, I feel like most other West Coast are still pretty juicy. This was not. Excuse me, but it was a decent beer. As Sam said, I drink all 4 of them. So they were enjoyable, but still 3.5 Infinity Stones out of 5.
Nice.
So take that for whatever it is. So if you like what you listen to, please subscribe to our podcast as well. You will find this on YouTube. Previously, these were shortened on YouTube. We did about half-hour episodes, which were also bleeped out for swears, but I'm going to give it a try and see if we just go ahead and upload the whole thing, even with the swears. Actually, we did pretty good this episode.
I didn't swear.
You did, but I'm proud. I think we
swear.
I think we did much better than we normally do.
Yeah.
I used to sit here editing a lot of swears, so I think you guys will be okay with the full episode. But that's also because we also have now the Smashed Blerd minisodes, which are minisodes of Smash Blerd, where I also enjoy.
You and Drew.
I enjoy a few drinks and discuss my favorite bits of useless knowledge, random facts, topics, and my shower thoughts. There's just no beer review though, but you'll still get a good show. You can find me on Instagram. My name is Gamer Blerd, but it's at that 8-bit life, which is that the number 8 BITLYFE. Sam just told me today he actually doesn't have an Instagram anymore.
I mean, you can still follow it. It's SEC at 87 Instagram.
Perfect.
I
think you should.
It's not usually on it.
It's his family. It's cute.
Yeah,
whatever.
like you can see who I am.
Go follow. All right, but that's it for this episode, and we will both see you
next episode.